Good afternoon. This is U.S. Immigration Attorney Sharifa Tharpe. I'm here live to take your U.S. immigration related questions. Put your questions in the comments now. I'm just going to focus on your questions. Yesterday, I spent a good amount of time talking about how to fix your papers. Now, I want to dedicate some time to answering some of your questions, especially the questions that I didn't get to answer yesterday. So, put your questions in the comments. Hi there, Yira. Good morning or good afternoon for us, for me. Thanks so much for the love. So while you're settling in and you're putting your questions in the comments, put them in right now. I'm going to just tell you how to get in touch with the office and to schedule your own appointment. Should you want to do that, now is the time to figure out your options. We still have immigrant friendly policies in place that can assist certain individuals to get their work permit, get their status here. I want to make sure I can help you, and this is how. This is the start. You schedule your appointment, and we can talk about potential options that are available to you. I do have to do a detailed evaluation to see what you can qualify for, and then move forward. But now is the time when we have the time to do it, when policies are in place that can still assist you to move forward with this process. Now, the way you're going to do that is to get in touch. Go to the link in the profile on TikTok, on Instagram. You will have everything you need to get in touch. On YouTube, Facebook, it's really easy. You see the number going across the screen, and also in the description of the video, you have the same link as on TikTok and Instagram. Go to that link and you'll see the link to the website. You can get to know me there, learn about what the firm has done, some of the results we've gotten, what exactly we do to help our clients to gain status, to fix their papers here, to get the work permit. You can find all of that out at the website, and then you can book your own appointment on the website. You can call the office to schedule your own appointment, and you can also do that from the Linktree link, which will be there as well. It's going to be a button to schedule your own appointment. So, really easy for you to get on my schedule. Do it early so that we can talk because my schedule is filling up and I want to make sure you're on the list on my schedule so that I can help you. All right. Let's talk about some immigration questions here. So, yesterday I talked in detail about ways to fix your immigration status. If you're here, if you overstayed, if you even crossed the border without permission, even in cases where you've had a past removal, there are ways to fix a situation. And I talked about those different ways through VAWA, through family sponsorship in some cases. Only certain US citizen family members can help in that case to fix papers once there's an overstay or once, sometimes in the case where you've crossed the border without permission. VAWA, if you're being mistreated by a citizen or resident relative here, T visa, U visa, asylum. So those are some of the ways here. And if you qualify for something called Section 245I, if you've had a filing done with your name on it or you were supposed to be on it on or before April 30th, 2001, it means you could very well still qualify to stay here and apply for your green card. Otherwise, you wouldn't qualify, but because of that, you do qualify, whether you have an overstay or crossing without the border without permission. Now, I know I've thrown a lot of information at you in the last minute or two. This is where the consultation is very important because I'm not expecting you to learn Immigration 101, but I do want you to understand that there are a number of options available. But I need to talk to you to be able to figure out what your facts are, what is your background, and whether you can fall within one of those categories. And I've helped many clients to navigate that process, and their whole life has changed because of it. So I want to help more and more of you through those processes, especially in a time where we're looking at potential changes in the future. You want to be ahead of it. All right. So let's go to questions. I'm scrolling through now. So let's go. Hi there, Maldias. Nice to see you. I am looking forward to speaking with you too. How long after doing biometrics it takes? I'm not sure what the rest of it is. As an immigrant, I am qualified for work permits and my passport. So you could be, but I wouldn't be able to confirm that unless we do a consultation. That's where it's very important to schedule that appointment. What family can assist in sponsoring someone who overstayed? So it's going to be a U.S. citizen, spouse, a parent if you're under 21 and unmarried, or a U.S. citizen, son or daughter, age 21 or older. In the case that you overstayed, they can still petition to fix your status. And remember, if there's a parent and you're still under 21, you qualify. If that parent or that spouse or that adult child mistreated you, then it means that you could still qualify for relief through VAWA, where you apply for your own green card and fix your status. How dangerous do you think Trump might be? Extremely. So he has not hidden the ball here. He has not. He has been very clear about what he plans to do. Should he win the election again? So we could be looking at mass deportations, mass detainments, because he has made clear that that's what his goal is. His goal will be to find every undocumented immigrant and make sure that they are removed from the country. So this is where I am emphasizing. Remember, he is looking at undocumented immigrants. The law allows for removal of undocumented immigrants who have no form of relief. And a lot of people are here in the United States. They do qualify for relief, but they're not looking into it. They're not taking the time to talk to an attorney and figure out what their options are. And so, as long as you do that, you let fear drive your prevent you from seeking help. You could possibly be vulnerable during that time. It should Trump win, where it's unbelievable that we would have a candidate who's currently going through criminal proceedings. However, it's happening. It's happening, and the fact we've seen a number of things that we never thought was possible before in America. When Trump was there, he banned a number of immigrants from getting visas to come here, from coming to the United States. Remember, there's a Muslim ban. There was also a limitation on Nigerian immigrants coming into the country or being able to get their green card. So, he did those things. And uh, while there was great opposition to it, it still hindered a lot of the immigration processes. It slowed down a huge part of the backlog is because of the policies that were implemented in the past. And so, we could possibly see that plus more. He has made it very clear that he's coming back with a vengeance and he's going to finish what he started. So, how dangerous is he? Very dangerous, especially when it comes on to the future of immigration and immigration law, as it has been for many years in the United States. It's not going to get any better. It's probably going to get worse. This is where I also have to say, if you have family members, if you're not a citizen, you cannot vote. If you are a permanent resident, you cannot vote. But if you do have your family members, your friends um, who are with you on this, they support you, also encourage them to participate in the voting process, because the people that are supporting Donald Trump, they are the ones showing up at the polls, and they're voting. And as a result of that, anybody who opposes these extreme policies are losing because because of inaction, right? Because they're not taking action, they're not enforcing, they're not participating in their right to vote. It does make a difference. And how do I know it does make a difference? Because we saw it the last election in 2020. We showed out in masses to vote, and we voted Donald Trump out. And as an immigration lawyer, I saw huge changes. We still have a ways to go, but over the past years, I've seen a stark difference between the Trump's policies and Biden's policies. And because of that, we've been able to more easily assist clients who need the help. Going forward, um, it's not going to be that way if Trump wins, but we can all make a difference. Those of us who are citizens, those of us who can't vote, still be vocal to your friends and family about about their their ability to make a difference. All right. I got interrupted, and I think I might not have any sound here. So let me go ahead and just fix that. Let me know on Instagram if you're hearing me. No sound. All right. All right. So I'm just fixing this here. Have a little technical glitch. So put your questions in the comments while I'm fixing this. Go ahead, still put the questions in the comments so that I can answer your questions. All right. Okay, I'm back. All right. On Instagram, if you're just joining me, please put your questions in the comments again, because when I had to sign back in, I lost all the questions. So no cousins. So no cousins cannot help you to get your status here. Cousins cannot do that. On Instagram, thanks so much for joining me. Again, put your questions in the comments because I lost your questions. In the meantime, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to answer some questions here on TikTok. Good afternoon. How many years if I am a US citizen and I petition for my brother? So you're looking at 14 to 20 years, just depending on what country you're in. What happens if I got divorced on 2 years green card? Then you will have to apply for a waiver using the divorce and proving or showing that you had a bona fide marriage despite the divorce to get your 10-year green card. When you are applying for this waiver, you can apply at any time before the expiration and also after the expiration of your card. But it is in your best interest to make sure you apply before that deadline. I also assist clients with this, so give us a call and we'll be more than happy to represent you on it. Have you seen faster I-601As approval after hard? So usually, whenever they implement these kinds of changes and processing times, it usually takes a little. I haven't personally seen any faster approvals, but I'm looking forward to it in the future, in the near future. Can I change my status from B1, B2 to F1 first before I look for a school? No. Whenever you're going to F1 student status, you have to show that you've been accepted by a school, and the school has to issue what's called an I-20. The I-20 is what you're going to use to schedule your appointment or apply for the change of status. How long do you wait till you get green card if you have CO9, EAD? So I would say anywhere from 5 months to 18 months. Why USCIS requests I-730 interview when the applicant submit enough proof of their marriage? So I think that's an I-130 interview because maybe they have additional questions about your marriage. So in that case, be very prepared for that interview. It may mean that they are not satisfied with the evidence, or they may have other questions that they have to ask. My asylum decision was mailed. Fees were waived for I-765. What does that mean? Could be an approval? No. So fee waive just means that either there were no fees or the fee was included in another fee that you paid. And as a result of that, they'll put fee waived. It doesn't mean approval. Why does, let me see. So how long for immigration to respond after I sent them the RFE? So it could be anywhere from a month to even a couple of months, just depending on the complexity of the RFE and how much information they want, how much how they're going to use that information to further process your application. How long after the I-485 approval you'll receive the green card? So I'd say a week to 2 weeks. You could give it up to 4 weeks to come, but I've seen it in 1 to 2 weeks. Green card holder filing for a wife in Jamaica is that F2 category. So yes, it's going to be the F2A category, spouse of a permanent resident. So I-589 was filed at the Nebraska Service Center. Should I apply for the work permit at the same place? You have to follow the instructions. So service centers differ based on the application. So you have to look at the specific instructions on where to file for this type of work permit application. Where are you located? We're based in Boca Raton, Florida. We do, even though we're based in one place in Boca Raton, we do represent our clients in all 50 states and the globe. So no matter where you are, we can assist you. A child 751 still pending, even though parent 751 and N400 has been approved. How to deal with that? So it's going to depend, right? Because if the parent, give us a call, schedule an appointment. Because if the parent has become a citizen and the child is under 18 at the time that the N400, which is citizenship, has been approved, that child may also be a US citizen already, and you may not need to then go through the I-751 process anymore. You could just, if that's the case, you could just apply for the child's passport. But I don't know how old was the child, what's the situation, and so forth. This is where it's very important to get representation. Can I get my residence here? Because of a car accident? No, that will not get you residence here. How long does a security clearance take after the I-485 interview? So usually they do it before, but if for some reason they are doing extra additional checks, I have seen it take a very long time because usually after the interview, I get the decision shortly after. Do I have to wait till my I-130 is approved via online before filing I-485? Give us a call, let's talk, because in some cases you have to wait. In others, you don't have to wait. As a matter of fact, you could have possibly filed the I-485 along with the I-130, but I need to understand your case and understand how you qualify first. This is where it's important to schedule an appointment so you don't have any unnecessary delays or even denials in your case. My American husband has past criminal records. I have no criminal record. Could be a problem. Possibly, if the spouse committed a crime that involved a child, then there could be a problem there. Good afternoon there. How long does it take to get a visa if you're going to petition your parents for a green card? So you don't, your parents can try to get a visa, but it's not, the two are not linked. A petition with a visa are not linked. However, if they look at and see that a petition is being filed on their behalf, they may not be inclined to give that visa unless the parents can really convince them that they have strong ties to their home country and they will not overstay the time. Since you're dealing with a lot of VAWA cases, do all witness letters get verified by USCIS either by calling or visiting home? Or have you ever had any VAWA case with this issue? Absolutely not. And if an officer is calling witnesses and verifying information, they're in violation of the law. They cannot do that. And there's an actual fine for the officer that does that, a fine of $5,000, if a penalty, legal penalty of $5,000 for each officer that does this. They cannot call anybody outside of what they're looking at. They cannot call anybody and verify any information because then they could be disclosing that the applicant is applying for a VAWA and they are protected. Having a VAWA petition means that one of their priorities is to maintain confidentiality. And so if they call anybody, they're breaking the law. But this is why it's very important to provide sufficient evidence, because if the officer is looking at your file and if the officer is feeling like they need to verify information, they are not buying anything in your application. And it means that they don't find it credible. And if they don't find it credible and they have this strong urge to check out what you're saying, it means that you probably haven't met the standard of showing that you've provided credible evidence. So this is where it's very important to submit an application that's going to be thorough and sufficiently detailed for the officer to make the decision based on a credible application. Because if not, they will just either issue a nasty request for evidence for you, put the burden back on you to show them that you have a credible claim to VAWA here, or straight up deny your application for not being credible and also for insufficient evidence. How long is VAWA work permit and advance parole taking in your office? So 8 to 12 months. Please, do you know if USCIS has started working on VAWA filed in 2023? So they're all over the place with processing times for VAWA. Right now, you could be looking at 3 years. 3 years from beginning to decision for VAWA. But the good news is that you still do get a 5-year work permit while the process is pending. I received my VAWA, EAD, and SSN. How long to wait now for a green card? Can I travel to any U.S. territory without travel authorization while waiting on the green card? So, as for territories, be very careful about any kind of flying to U.S. territories like Puerto Rico, U.S. Virgin Islands. Even be very careful about traveling to Hawaii. Here are 2 reasons that you need to rethink your plan to fly off the coast, even though you're going to a US territory. Is one, if Lord forbids there's an emergency and the plane needs to divert and they divert to another international location, you're in trouble. If you don't have a travel document with you, if they do something like that, you're going to have hell getting in. You probably won't get back into the US. And then you'll face all the other consequences of that, which is a 10-year bar or possibly other types of bars, just depending on what kind of past immigration violations you've had or any violations associated with an overstay. So that's one. Two is that when we're talking about US territories, they do random checks. So even though US citizens and permanent residents and other people with status can fly into these territories with their ID, what will happen in some cases is they do have officers that will just select you at random and request that you show your papers to show that you have valid status. And if not, they can detain you there and they can deport you from that US territory. So even though that may not be the case because it's random checks, it is a possibility and it is a risk. So I usually say it's a very high risk of traveling to US territories without a travel document. Is advance parole for VAWA also 5 years? Yes. Once they issue the travel document along with the work permits, it's 5 years. Hi, as of now, I'm out of status, but I'm paying my tax every year in case someday I fix my papers. Can I still get a pension from my SSN contribution when I retired? So that is not a question I can answer because I don't practice Social Security law or any kind of issues like that. If you have a pension, a privately funded pension, of course, that's your money and you're entitled to have your money. The inner workings of that, I wouldn't be able to give you any legal advice regarding that. And I wouldn't be able to give you any legal advice regarding any kind of social security benefit that you're entitled to once you become, you get your papers. How long the wait to get here from USCIS after I receive my T visa application? So 2 weeks in the busy times when there are a ton of applications going into the Vermont Center. You could see the application receipt notice even take up to 2 months to come back to confirm receipt. All right, so now Instagram, thanks so much again for joining me. And I'm going to answer those questions now. So put your questions in the comments. Is it possible to convert a visitor's visa to work permit currently? Well, I am happy you asked this question because it's a question I encounter very often. The answer is no. You cannot come to the United States with a visitor's visa with the expectation that you can just come and get a work permit. It doesn't work that way. Where I am able to obtain the work permit for my clients is not in cases like this. It's in cases where if they overstayed or even cross the border without permission, they may qualify for other forms of relief based on their circumstances, such as family members, based on facts, maybe based on what they've been through. And so I look at the limited options that are available to them to determine where they fall, what kinds of relief they can get. But you should not be coming to the United States with a visitor's visa with the expectation that you can just apply for a work permit. How quickly after marriage can you file for an adjustment of status? There's nothing that says you have to wait for a certain amount of time, but you do have to make sure that it is advisable for you to apply for the green card with your spouse at the right time. For example, if you came to the US, say you went to Vegas, you had a wild, great time, you met somebody on Friday night, and then you decided to elope on Sunday night, is it advisable to submit those immigration papers on Monday? No. And usually, if you did something like that, the immigration would find it as a red flag for immigration marriage fraud because sometimes they do look at how quickly you get married, but they usually pair that with how much evidence you're providing that you have a bona fide marriage. So usually the way that you're going to find some balance here is you have to make sure that you're going to get yourselves sorted out as a couple first. So you say you got married, you met the Friday, got married the Sunday, then take, a month or two to find a place together to make sure you figure out how you're going to commingle your funds or how you're going to, um, take care of your bills together. Then, as soon when you gather the evidence to show that you're building a life together, then you can apply. Now, here's where I usually don't have a problem applying for adjustment of status very quickly for my clients is when they have a history together. So, say they've been together for 3 years, they've been living together even before marriage, they lived together, and then they got up one day and said, you know what? This is for us, let's get married. They get married on the Friday. By the Monday, we can be filing the application because they have a history that they can show on documents. They have an apartment together or they have a home together. They have car insurance together. They have bills together because they've been doing it for the past 3 years. So that's a difference between filing very quickly after marriage um, versus after marriage when you've had a history together versus meeting somebody very quickly and then getting into a relationship and then getting married shortly after and then filing the papers very quickly after. If you are married and the spouse refuses to help you put in your paperwork by giving you the information, how do you go about that? Well, that tells me that your spouse, there is that's a red flag for me to ask the follow-up question. Well, what kind of mistreatment is going on in the marriage? Because I don't know any spouse that's going to look out for their spouse who wants to have their best interest, has their best interest in mind, who is going to hold that information from their spouse so that they don't get the paperwork. So my follow-up question is like, what's going on in the marriage and are you being mistreated? And usually I do get the full story and I'm able to determine whether they can qualify on their own without that spouse involved through VAWA. How long after you submit the immigration to remove conditions does it take for them to approve the petition to grant the tenure? Oh boy. While you do have the unicorns that are being approved within, months or maybe even 2 years, I'd say 2 years is a good timeline. But right now we're seeing it going as long as 4 years, and that's why they're issuing the extension for 4 years, for 48 months, because for some cases it's taking that long. But my advice is, this is where it's very important to submit a strong application from the start, so you're not having that, so that if an officer does review it, if it's a strong application, they may just approve it without any further delays. Um, is it possible to just apply for a work permit after marriage and wait for 2 years to apply for the 10-year green card? I mean, it's depending on what you want. You want to get to the green card as soon as possible. So if I never recommend waiting. You never know what's going to happen in the next 2 years. The laws could change. And so if you have the opportunity to get the green card, even if it's a 2-year green card, go do that. And then you can renew to the 10-year afterwards. But it's all up to you. What I would say though is, this is where it's important to schedule an appointment, because if you are thinking in that way, what's driving that line of thinking? Is it that you're concerned about something in your marriage that's making you think that you should wait? This is where legal advice is going to be very important. If you married a green card holder while you're in the US, would you have to go back to your home country for the spouse to file for you? So, what comes to mind is the I-601A, unlawful, provisional unlawful presence waiver. With that one, you can stay here throughout most of the process, but when it's time for the green card interview, you usually have to go down around 3 weeks before, prepare for the interview, attend the interview, and usually can come back with a green card after the interview. But yes, if you've already overstayed, or you cross the border without permission and you have a green card holder spouse, that's going to be the procedure. Um, if it's going to make sense, if your green card holder is already qualifies for citizenship, then you can also wait for them to become a citizen. My husband's I-130 was approved, but I didn't put where to send his paperwork, which is outside the USA. I sent in the I-824 in July 2023, and I haven't heard back anything. Yep. So it does take a while to go through. So it is a frustrating process. So don't forget that on the I-130, because it is a world of pain. I hear the fees are going up. Do you have any new numbers yet? So no formal announcements. We already know that the fees are going up. They announced it. But as for any formal announcement of fee increases, we haven't received that yet. I just married with a woman. I want to know if I can go to immigration now for her application so she can get residence. Schedule an appointment. I can't tell you specifically whether it's time. I need to understand your case to determine whether it's a good time. Can my US citizen sister file for me while I'm on H-2B visa? Yes, it's possible, but keep in mind that when you have an I-130 petition, it may also clash. A pending I-130 petition, it may clash with your H-2B visa, because remember, with the H-2B visa, you have non-immigrant intent, temporary intent to be here. But if you then file an I-130, could indicate that you have immigrant intent. And so it could possibly compromise the H-2B visa. So, keep that one in mind and get legal advice, though. That's going to be important. Now, if your sister applies for you, can you just get the green card right in within short order? No, it's taking 14 years. If you're denied for T visa, what's next? So you have to leave or appeal. So yes, so you can no. Now leaving may not be an option for some people, but it either means you're back at square one, you're back at figuring out, okay, how am I going to get status? You can appeal, and in some cases, you can even file a federal lawsuit against them to review for a judge to review your application again. And sometimes that does lead to the immigration service revisiting your application and possibly changing their position on your application. So that can also be an avenue. Can you apply for mentor for I'm not sure what mentor receive. Can you apply for mentor receive an approved Okay, I'm not understanding that. It's very jumbled. What are the requirements for employer to adjust status for their employee? So you have to be in status. That's the first thing. If you have already overstayed, then no can do. If you have a if you're about to your stay here is about to expire, it's likely not going to work out. So because the employer except for very limited number of professions, employer has to first do filings with the Department of Labor. Department of Labor has to then approve it, and then after that, they can go forward with applying for adjustment of status. So it does take time, and the DOL part of it can take anywhere from DOL means Department of Labor. It can take anywhere from 6 months to 18 months. And so if you cannot maintain your status for that period of time, it's probably not going to be likely you're going to be able to adjust status. How long after marriage can I file for adjustment of status? I answered that. How long after getting notice, so notice of action, do you get the notice for biometrics? It could ranges, but on average 2 months. If you married a green card holder while you're in the USA, would you have to go back to your home country? I answered that. All right, so I'm gonna answer a few more questions and then head out. Okay, timeline for green card after VAWA, EAD, and SSN are issued. Is there an interview? Usually there's no interview for VAWA. And the great part about the employment authorization and social security number is that they're valid for 5 years now. And they're valid for 5 years to be able to allow you to continue to live your life while they take the time to make the decision on your VAWA. Usually it's going to be another 2 years until you get the decision on VAWA. And then once it's approved, they move you on to the green card process if you've applied for the adjustment of status, which getting the EAD and Social Security tells me you applied for the adjustment of status as well. If my wife only filed the I-130, do I need to wait for a response from USCIS before filing other documents? If you're here in the US, you may not have to wait, but it depends on a number of factors, like what's the status of your wife? Is your wife a US citizen? If you're outside of the US, then you do have to wait for the I-130 to be approved to then move on to the National Visa Center for them to organize the paperwork for the embassy to schedule the interview. So my EAD came back with a typo in August 2023, sent it back, and didn't hear back yet. What can I do? You'd have to contact them to see what's going on. I know that's a pain because you already had to wait a while to get the EAD and now you have to wait again. How can a German citizen get residence permit in the US? Just like you have to get it or qualify just like any other citizen. So there's no particular benefit that's accorded to German citizens apart from everyone else. How long after marriage can file for divorce? So I'm not a divorce attorney. I wouldn't be able to advise on that. How long does it take for filing for my daughter and wife with green card? So right now they do have a wait list. I would say 1 to 2 years, more on the 2 year side for that. How long after green card holder put in citizenship it takes? I've seen 2 years, not 2 years, 2 months to 8 months. My 2 year anniversary was December 20th, 2023. My I-45 is pending for 10 months. Then, yes, if at the time your green card is approved, you've been married for more than 2 years, you're going to get the 10-year green card. After how many days does the I-360 approve SIJS work permit? So I'm not sure. I'd have to look at the processing times for those. But all the work permits are taking a while now. Good day. Can I file adjustment of status? I have pending I-130, U.S. citizen father, sponsor. It's going to depend. If you're under 21 and unmarried, then you can file the adjustment of status application. All right, that's going to be it for me today. Thanks so much for your time, everyone. I will be back tomorrow at around lunchtime to answer your questions again. And if I didn't get to your questions, just save them and ask those questions again tomorrow at around lunchtime. Thanks again, everyone. Have a good day. Bye bye.